What's up, you guys? It's your girl India Simone. Welcome back to my channel, focused on all things lifestyle, wellness, and real estate related. Today we're going to talk about something in the real estate category, which may be mundane to some people, but when you're a starting agent, you honestly have no clue how to do this, and that is how to schedule showings and actually conduct showings. So I remember like my first couple of months starting out in real estate, and although I'm only a year in, it feels like you learn so much and you grasp. There's just so much information to grasp. And I remember it was really overwhelming for me to understand how to schedule showings and actually conduct showings. I remember my first time trying to unlock a supra lockbox. I made it way more complicated than necessary, and I feel like there are some new agents out there who also don't understand this process as much, who are trying to understand where they fit in when it comes to conducting showings and personalities and all of that jazz. So today we're going to talk about that. If you're interested, stay tuned. So obviously the first step before you even book a showing is to conduct a buyer consult. Now we're not really going to get into the logistics of that today, but I will give you some tips and pointers on how to better gauge your client and to schedule around not only your own personal schedule, but also your client's schedule. So the key thing here is to ask your clients what days and times work best for them. So let's say you have a client that works from home. They may be able to meet you at any time, maybe noon, lunchtime. Some clients that are no longer working from home can't get off until 5, and there's rush hour. So it's really important to understand your client's needs. When you do that, not only are you showing that you are flexible, but you're showing that you are considerate of their time. And it also helps you to better gauge how you need to set up your day. Obviously, for most people, the key times are going to be the evenings and weekends. So at least in Georgia, I feel like in most states, listings come out Thursday, Fridays. So it's really important to have those evenings planned out to do showings and to be available. Also, I make myself available most Saturdays throughout the entire day, unless I'm out of town, just so that I have time to see multiple clients in a day if necessary. In your first 2 years, they say it's the most like hustler years that you experience in real estate. And I will say that during your first 2 years, it is a grind, and it's important to be flexible, to be available. And if you're not necessarily available to show a house, make sure that you have a backup of someone who is available. So for example, on my team, which I love my team, the Justin Landis Group, I have someone that is a backup. So if I am showing someone else that house, if I'm showing someone else houses during that specific time and that's the only time that person is available, or I'm out of town for some reason, I have someone that is available to conduct showings for me, and I'm there for them as well. So it's important in real estate to establish people that you can rely on so that you can obviously experience life and have a personal life as well. So I personally also recommend making sure that this person has a pre-approval. Without a pre-approval, some sellers won't even allow you to see the house, and sellers agents definitely won't review an offer without a pre-approval, most likely. For clients who are usually skeptical about whether they want to start a pre-approval process, that are like, I want to see what the market is like. I want to see what a house is like before getting a pre-approval. I often remind them that a pre-approval can determine what their budget is. They may be setting their expectations too low, or they may be setting their expectations too high. Also, a pre-approval, I word it in the sense of, without one, if you see this house and you love it, we cannot make an offer on it. This offer will not be reviewed until you have a pre-approval, which could not only slow down the process, but also the house could get swiped up by someone else. And so when you word it that way, a lot of people are like, okay, let me make sure that I also align my ducks in a row, because you really just don't want to waste your time. I remember when I first started, I was working with this couple, and they were like, hey, we got approved for yada yada amount. Like a year ago, we should still be good. Can we see some places? Of course, because I'm new, I'm like, yeah, let's go show. So we're showing condos. I'm showing them condos. We're seeing a lot of properties that they like. They're like, all right, cool. I'm going to call my lender today and see about a pre-approval. So they call them and they call me back. They're like, yeah, so we forgot about that new Lexus that we just purchased. And our pre-approval is like, it was like $100K less, which And this market wasn't feasible to really find anything but like a shack that will need to be completely gutted. So, and that wasn't really an option for them. So I say that to just say, don't waste your time. Make sure that you hold your clients accountable and have a process so that you aren't doing things that don't align with how you see your business and your time. So the second thing you want to do in tandem with, doing your buyer consult is to create a search. Now, I feel like most people use what we know as FMLS, which is the first multiple listing service. It pretty much has everything on it. There's gonna be some listings that aren't gonna be on FMLS that you will need to do a deep dive when you do your off markets, which we will get into another time. But for the most part, everything is gonna be on this one website. The reason why I love FMLS is because it allows your clients to have a portal, sort of like their own like real estate page. And with that, they're able to favorite the ones that they love, discard the ones that they don't like. They can question mark, or it's like a lightning bulb, which is like kind of interested in this one. To certain houses, they can ask you questions and put that under each house so that you can obviously look at their portal and answer their questions. It's really great. So one thing I think is also key when you have a client and you're, getting ready to schedule houses and you've created a FMLS portal for them is to avoid the trap of having them favorite every single house. Now, a lot of people still will favorite a lot of houses. Like I've had clients who favor 60 houses. Looking at that is stressful. It overwhelms me to see like 60 homes. Like there's no way possible for us to ever see 60 homes. But this is a time for you to show your value and to say, okay, I know that these were your criteria, or like refer back to their criteria, and also say, what are out of this list your top 5? From that list, 1 or 2 may fall off. 1 may be under contract, 1 may be on hold for some reason. Usually 1 or 2 fall off, and then that leaves you with a top 3. I like to at least have 3 because for me it seems, or it is a waste of time for not only myself but for the person to just go see one house and then go back to the drawing board and see a couple more houses like days following. I try to book 3 houses in one day, schedule them how many minutes apart depending on the location, and so that they have options and they're able to go, aha, like this is what I'm really looking for. Because a lot of times clients don't know exactly what they're looking for when they're starting a home buying search. They think they know based off what they see on HGTV, based on what they see on Zillow and other websites and Instagram, whatever, yada, yada, yada. But they don't really know until they actually get into a house and see like the cricks and crannies of it, or the nicks and crannies of it. So asking important questions, referring back to their criteria, establishing guidelines for having a top 5 can really not only narrow down the options or the actual homes that they want to see, but it just makes it more intentional because now you're showing homes with a purpose. You're not just willy-nilly taking them on random tours of houses. I can recall back when I first started having a client who would say like, oh, I want to see this house, I want to see this one, whatever, and me driving myself insane just for them to walk in the house and be like, yeah, I wasn't really interested. It was just so interesting to look at it online. I just was really curious about what it looked like. That's a waste of time. And when you think about time management and where you want to focus your attention, it's really important to gauge like where you see yourself in business, because if you see yourself selling multiple houses in a year, it's just not feasible to see 1 million houses with one client. You really then put your attention all onto that and neglect your other buyers in that process, or if you do it that way. So after you have created your search, you have that top 3, top 5 that your client wants to see. Now it's time to create the schedule. So after you have created your showing schedule, you received approvals for the homes that need them from the listing agents and the sellers. Now it's time for showings. I personally love showings because I love to see houses. You're able to get content for your social media. You're able to just connect with your clients on that level of like, okay, this is what a home can actually feel like to me. This is my favorite part. But it's important that you make sure that you are being professional and showing your value. And another way that you can show your value as an agent is to know about the house. A big way that you can show your value is to be knowledgeable. What I like to do before each showing is to look over the listing, look over the private remarks from the agent. I like to look at the map just to see like what the surrounding neighborhood, like the aerial view, to see what their surrounding neighborhood looks like. Things like that are really key for your clients, and just to show like, oh, she knows what she's talking about. She just didn't open the door and is like, Now, you're not gonna know every answer, but for the things that you do know or are able to see, mean a lot. So I don't really look at comps before a buyer expresses interest in making an offer, because that can just be a waste of time in your process. And again, the key thing for this entire, or the key thing for real estate and for your life in general is time management. Another thing that I've learned about showings is to leave 15 minutes earlier than you think you need to leave. Me personally, I've struggled with this. I am consistently late. And it's not obviously intentional or personal. I just often underestimate the time that it'll take me to do certain things and to get from point A to point B. So for me, it's key to set alarms. I set an alarm 20 minutes before I need to get ready, and then I set another alarm 15 minutes before I said I need to leave. So then I'm early. Also, I don't know where you guys live, but Atlanta traffic is crazy, especially during like rush hour, between like school hours ending like 3 to 6, nuts. So it's important to leave early, because you could put in your GPS like, oh, it'll take me 30 minutes to get there at 9 a.m. But then at 4 be like, oh crap, my time just got heavier by 20 minutes. It's gonna actually take me 50 minutes to get there. I've been there. Just leave early. Just do yourself a favor and leave early. Being early is also a good indication to your clients that you are timely, you care about your time and theirs, and that you're efficient. Also, leaving a little wiggle room in that time can allow you to open the lockbox before they get there, see the house, look around, have a gauge on like if this could be a potential property for them based on their criteria and what you know about them. Also gives you time to take videos for social media, which I love to do. And if there's something crazy happening at the house, just being on time just gets you better prepared. So speaking of showing houses, an important step that you've got to learn is how to work the supra lockbox. There are going to be some houses that have combination boxes, some homes that have another lockbox system, but for most agents, they use supra lockboxes. This is, or was, a very important step for me, because when I say I was overwhelmed, that doesn't even explain it. Like when I first started and I had my first client and I was at the house, it can be so nerve-wracking to have them like just sitting there waiting for you to open the lockbox and you have no idea what you're doing. I remember receiving instructions from like my team, like someone on my team, like, hey, this is how you do it. You push up, you whatever. But for some reason, my brain, because I'm a visual hands-on learner, couldn't comprehend the instructions from just verbally hearing it. Like I had to see it. And so my first few times of trying to open that supra lockbox was overwhelming, to say the least, because it was like taking me like 10-15 minutes to open a lockbox, and it should only take you 5 seconds, as long as the Bluetooth is hooked up and yada yada yada. It should only really take you like 5 to 10 seconds to open that box. Embarrassing. So I'm here to help you out if you're an agent that's just starting out, or you just are just curious about how to work a lockbox. Here's how. Okay, so when you walk up the steps, the supra lockbox will most of the time be attached to the door. Sometimes it'll be on the side near, like if there's a porch. Sometimes it's on the back door. The showing instructions should tell you where it is. You can always ask the agent as well. So let's open this up. So you have a Supra e-key app that you use to open up the supra lockbox. Let's do it. So I just put in my information. You click the bottom of it, you just tap it up, and you should see that it's blinking, and it will soon let me know that it is available. So typically it makes a noise, but I have my phone on silent, so you just saw that the light was blinking and the key should be inside like it is here. Some people take the whole thing with them inside. I prefer to leave it outdoors, unhooked from this, and just like right wherever I got the key from, just so that I know I'm not misplacing it. But yeah, that's that. So you're showing the house, you're prepared, you knew everything about the listing, you looked it all up, you disclosed to them the private remarks. They probably still will have questions that you have no idea about. So it's okay to say, hey, I don't quite know that answer, but I will ask the listing agent and get back to you. I tend to use my notes app and I write down the questions that they have, any remarks that they have, because I use that as feedback to give the listing agents. Feedback is super important for listing agents because then they're better able to price the house. They know what to expect. I also like to ask my buyers, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate this house? That rating can really show you what their expectations are, what their preferences are, and that can really align you to better understand your client and what their needs are. Some people have a higher expectations than others. So I also like to use the example of, buying a house is like when you're finding someone to date. You have this list of things that you want, and you may meet someone that doesn't check a few of the boxes. If they check the important boxes, then it's important to keep them into consideration, because people can change, but with a house, let's say you don't like the floors. Floors can easily be changed. Let's say you don't like the cabinets. I just like to remind my clients, if they're open-minded to doing a little bit of updates, to keep those things in mind, because their dream house could just be a few updates away. So a few other tips I have when it comes to showing a house is to be personable. I think, and I don't know if it's the Capricorn in me, but when I first started, I thought that I just needed to be like, this is this, this is this, this is this, yeah, and just very black and white. When really what was missing from me and being able to convert leads to clients was my personality. I wasn't really showing my personality. Overall, most people want to see that personality. They want to see that you're a real person. They care that you're a real person. They don't want a robot. If they wanted a robot, they would have gone to Zillow. No offense. It's just, you don't do yourself a service when you hold back who you are. Also, another tip that I give is try to avoid personal opinions. Now, sometimes depending on the client, I will get asked like, what is your opinion of the house? Would you buy it? And that's when you need to reel in what your personal opinions are of the house and focus on the facts. Focus on their criteria. Just because you wouldn't personally live in a house and it's not your style doesn't mean that it's not the right fit for your client. I often then, go back to them and say, okay, but does this meet your criteria? Like, it has this, it checks this box, it checks this box. So I think it could be a great house for you. What do you think? It's just important to stick with the facts, because I walked in some houses and like, this isn't my style. And they'll ask me like, would you live here? And it's like, does it really matter if I live here or not? No, I'm not going to be the one living here. This is a big decision for you. And so it's important to focus on them. Another key thing, which is a tip, but also like a tip that could keep you out of trouble, is to not give your clients any information about the safety of a neighborhood, about the demographics of a neighborhood, because this is what in real estate we call steering. And steering can get you into big trouble, even if it's unintentional. And you were just trying to state the facts. Just stay away from that. Instead, encourage them to look at the data. You can do this by sending them police websites, school system databases that show different reviews of different schools in that certain neighborhood, and also encouraging them to drive around, walk around, get a feel for if you see yourself living here. So that's my video for today. I hope it was very informative and that you enjoyed it. I will be back next Friday for another video. If you like this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave some comments if you have had any experiences with super lock boxes and they are the bane of your existence like me. I'd love to hear your funny stories below. As for now, that's it. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace and love.